Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and today South Shore YMCA President Paul Gorman joins us to talk about his 30 years of service to the Y as he prepares to retire at the end of the year. First, though, we check out the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it's raining. It's 50 degrees right now. I think today will be the warmest and the wettest day of the week, actually. We've already seen our high temperature. Temperatures will start to fall off throughout the afternoon with off and on rain and showers throughout the day. And look at the low tonight. As things clear out, temperatures will dip to right around freezing, and they won't recover much tomorrow. Looks like a very windy and chilly Veterans Day with increasing cloudiness throughout the day. The high tomorrow, 40 degrees. The wind will make it feel colder than that. And down into the mid-30s tomorrow night. A very November-like forecast for the rest of the week, actually, with clouds and chilly temperatures on Wednesday. Mid-40s, a little better on Thursday with some sunshine and a high around 50 degrees. Looks like it'll be staying dry for the rest of the week after today. Again, we've got some showers, 50 in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today, Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch will ask the City Council to amend the annual mayoral salary that will take effect in 2028 from $285,000 to $225,000. The mayor said he made the decision after public outcry about that first figure.
Yeah, I get sick of hearing about it, quite frankly, Joe. It has been dominating the discussion. It takes away from other issues and other important topics that we'd like to address. So, thought maybe put it to bed, hopefully, and move on to other issues. So, we picked the halfway point between the low recommendation of the outside company and what I'm making today. And as a reminder to people out there, I am not receiving any raise right now. It continues to get reported in newspapers that not our local paper, the Quincy Sun, but a number of them certainly insinuate that I'm getting it today, and that's not the case. So at the end of this term, Joe, 20 years as mayor, I will have received one raise in 20 years. I think that helps put it in a little bit of perspective.
The mayoral salary was a key issue during last week's election, where voters selected 7 new city councilors, 2 new at-large councilors, and 2 new school committee members. Councilor at-large-elect Ann Mahoney says the city council should delay any vote on the mayoral salary until the new councilors are sworn into office next year. Mahoney plans to attend tonight's meeting to formally submit her request. The mayor's salary amendment is not on the agenda for tonight's council meeting. A unity rally is planned for outside City Hall today for the newly elected officials, the current officials, candidates, and residents. Organizers say this rally is not about politics, but about community. They say everyone is welcome to stand for unity and the democratic process. The rally is planned on Hancock Adams Common from 4:30 to 6 p.m. just before the City Council meeting. In the wake of last week's Election Day shakeup of the makeup of the Quincy City Council for next year, Mayor Thomas Koch now suggesting that the City Council terms be extended from 2 years to 4 years to match that of the mayoral term.
No, there's probably some truth to that, but I find it a fascinating dynamic when you come under the midterms like this. I would hope that someday maybe we do 4-year terms for councilors and we have one election every 4 years, because you look at the turnout, Joe, it continues to go down traditionally over the years, and I don't know, maybe if we combine them all into one every 4 years, school committee, council, and mayor, maybe that would drive the turnout. And, 2 years goes by so quickly. I remember my 2-year terms as mayor, and it felt like it went by like overnight. It's just crazy. So maybe it's time to look at that stuff.
Voters decided to increase the mayoral term from 2 to 4 years back in 2013. It became effective beginning in 2015. Mayor says any change to the term for city councilors would also require a change to the city charter after voter approval. He said he has not yet said if he'll be running for re-election in 2027. Last Sunday, the Quincy Sons of the American Legion Squadron 294 held their annual Veterans Day observance at the Flags for Veterans Island in Quincy Center. Guest speaker, retired Captain Robert Noble of Weymouth, reflected on the many men and women from Quincy who served in the U.S. military, including his own uncle, Robert G. Noble.
Uncle Bob was a private in the 1st Battalion, 347th Infantry Regiment of the 87th Infantry Division. Bob was captured in the town of Aubervilliers, France, directly on the French-German border when two infantry companies of battalion were overrun by a battalion of German armor, resulting in over 60 captured U.S. servicemen. Bob and the rest of his soldiers spent 5 months as a guest of the Germans, he called it. Bob came home from war, got married, and spent the rest of his life in Quincy, raising 3 daughters and a son. Bob Sr. spent the rest of his life giving back to Quincy veterans, past and present, and he was the New England chapter of POW Society president. Bob's dedication came to notice from Army General Major Buchanan, the military district in Washington, when in 2015 he was given the high honor of presenting a wreath for POW Day at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
The annual City of Quincy Veterans Day Parade and ceremony will be held tomorrow. Parade steps off at 10:30 at Quincy High School, travels up Russell Park to Hancock Street, will pause at the World War I Memorial, and then proceed to the World War II Memorial in Marymount Park for an 11:30 ceremony. This year's guest speaker, Quincy native, U.S. Army veteran, and Quincy police officer Thomas Lester. Well, this year's annual gala to benefit South Shore Health in Weymouth raised a record $1.2 million. More than 500 people gathered recently at the Marriott Boston here in Quincy to help raise funds that will support expanding South Shore Health's radiology capacity, support their obstetrics department, support in-home care from EMTs and paramedics, and provide transportation for behavioral health and substance use disorder patients. The event featured dinner, live and silent auctions, and some inspiring stories. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, Paul Gorman is preparing to retire after 30 years of service with the YMCA. We'll get to talk with him next. Welcome back. It really is a pleasure to welcome back to the program Paul Gorman, president of the South Shore YMCA, to talk once again about his many years of service here in Quincy and to the Y organization in general, and what's next as he plans to retire at the end of this year. Paul, it's always great to talk to you.
Thanks, Joe. It's great to be here again.
Appreciate the opportunity. It's been a pleasure to get to know you over these years. Yeah. And please don't be a stranger even after your retirement. Yeah. Please come back. You actually made the decision to step down last year, right?
Last year, yeah. So we, it was about almost not quite a year and a half ago that I wanted to retire at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. And looking at everything, it seemed to be the right time. We were recovered fully from COVID, and the past couple of years have been our best years ever as far as the amount of members we have, people we serve, whether it's at the food pantry, programs, camping, all of it. And we were just, this year we'll be completing the last of our 3 big projects from a campaign, capital campaign in 2019. And so it seemed like the right time. Recommended to the board that I put before them a plan to do some long-term planning for this past spring, a new strategic plan, new long-term financial plan, master plan of all of our facilities that the board and committees work towards, and recommended that Trevor Williams, our COO, move into my role. And this would give them a year to evaluate Trevor. Mm-hmm. And do the planning. And so it was, and Trevor and I have worked really well together. So felt like it would be a seamless transition. And it really has been. You know, it can, as you know, when new leadership changes, it can be very disruptive to an organization or business, whatever it is.
Sure.
And this is, I think, as seamless as it can get.
Yeah, just this past weekend, actually, Trevor was officially appointed, your successor, right? There's a note here from the Executive Board Chairman, Mike Mullen.
Yep.
He joined the Y back in 2020, right in the pandemic, right?
About 2 weeks before the he
Wow.
brought it to the Y, and
Yeah.
but about a couple weeks before, so
Sure.
he really helped navigate us
Yeah.
through COVID, helped navigate working with the mayor here in the city,
Yep.
turning our Y into a homeless shelter
Yeah.
with Father Bills, our food pantry quadrupled, and giving free childcare to first responders. So
Sure.
he was really a key part of that.
Yeah, there's a picture of Trevor there.
Yes,
What's his background, Paul, before the Y?
So he was a COO out in Newton YMCA
Oh,
for a
okay.
couple years, and vice president out in Central Mass YMCA, which is
Okay.
a larger association.
I see.
And prior to that, he was in the for-profit fitness industry. So he's
Gotcha.
kind of been around this, certainly around the Ys now for a long time.
Yes,
So a lot
yes.
of experience.
Committed to the mission, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the organizations, which does, we don't talk a lot about the mission or the mantra of the Y, but we really should, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
it
you know,
really leads everything.
I think people struggle with that because we're not a one mission-based
Well, that's true.
organization. We're not just a food pantry or just serve homeless
Yeah.
folks or, health. We touch all of those in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
If you look at what are our biggest areas of impact, it's around children.
Mm-hmm.
Camping, childcare, whether it's early learning, after school, and health and wellness. Those are some of the biggest ones. And then, of course, kind of programs that you think of the Y as water safety
Sure.
and aquatics programs.
The camp programs are huge.
Oh,
Yeah.
both day camps and resident camp
Yes.
down in Sandwich, Mass for
Yeah.
us. So those have grown immensely. And since COVID, everybody's been driven outside more.
True.
And the camps and our South Shore Natural Science Center in Norwell, and all the golf courses that I play are really busy right now. So there's been a lot of benefit out there, and we've been able to respond like we usually do to needs in the community.
Sure. Here in Quincy, we think of the South Shore YMCA as just the Hale family Y.
Right, right.
But it's much more than that, right?
Yeah,
It's-
this was the Y.
Right.
The old wooden building up the street by Quincy
Yeah,
Mutual.
18, I forget the actual date, but yeah, 1800s.
It was funny. At my last board meeting here last week, I brought in an old book from 1905 that had the board minutes in it.
Wow.
And it talked about they had some rooms
Yes.
there. How many people? There were like 18 young men in those rooms. They had a couple of bowling alleys. So how many strings were done? They had Bible study classes.
Yes.
And some other programs. And I think for the month it brought in like $900. Their membership. They had
Right.
385 members back then.
Yeah.
As total for the Y right now, we have about 43,000 members. So
Okay.
a little bit of a change during that time. Oh, it was interesting. They also voted to give the janitor a raise to $15 a week during that
okay.
time. So it was
Wow.
big votes.
It was right across the street here on Washington Street originally.
Right, exactly.
Across
Yeah,
the library here, and
yeah.
then moved down.
So
Cottington Street.
it's interesting. There, the generations that have been involved in supporting the Y as well. The Clark family that had their business here and have since moved down towards Hingham. Certainly the Briggs family
Sure.
and Quincy Mutual. Phyllis Godwin
Yes.
in Granite City, their generations there and their support, and so there's been a lot
Yep.
of that support over the years. Not to mention, I can't tell you how many members come up. I've been a member here for 60 years, and or more.
Sure.
And the Y's been very important here. It's the anchor for the South Shore Y.
What I mean, it's probably hard to pick one thing, Paul, but overall, what are some of the things you're most proud of accomplishing during your tenure? 16 years here in Quincy.
Yeah, 16 years. It became a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
When you look back, it goes by pretty quickly, and it's easy to point to a big building like the new Hale YMCA. But if you look
the
at
expansion going on right now, actually.
Another 20,000 square foot. It'd be one of the largest urban-wise in the country. And we were very fortunate that whoever had the great mind to buy that property a long time ago, and to make sure that a Y was in downtown, accessible to everyone, and to have enough parking spaces to build a big Y close to downtown, all the apartments and housing, the brand new high school once that was built. 300 kids come over at 3:15 every day. It's amazing the volume. It's really the positioning, and we were fortunate. We got in just before Quincy started to explode.
Yes,
all the other development, and when you look at success, it's about thousands of other people, and we wouldn't be able to do anything in Quincy if it wasn't for Mayor Koch. He saw the importance of a real community center. He saw the benefits to the schools. Whenever he calls to need something like during COVID, absolutely, whatever we can do was a real partnership for him.
Sure.
I think this fit for his vision of the city too, of all the other great things he's done. So we're very fortunate that we had him as a real partner in this.
You mentioned the next chapter, right?
Yeah.
The strategic plan. Can you tell us a little bit about what are some of the highlights of that?
Well, I'm going to let Trevor talk a little bit about that when you invite him there.
And he's more than welcome.
He
certainly.
it's every time you work on a strategic plan, the foundation is the past, and then looking towards the future, jumping off.
Yeah.
And my piece was the foundation. He really led us and led the board and everything through that strategic plan. So I think he would give it a lot more to talk about it. But
what's your advice to him then?
My advice is to engage.
Yeah.
You engage the members. Those members become donors. Those donors become key volunteers, maybe board members, and they become so much more passionate. Our biggest donors are ones that have capacity but are connected. There's a lot of people who have capacity but aren't connected, and they might give us a little bit of donation.
Sure.
But people, that stretch are the people that have the capacity and connected out there, and engaging in the communities, which we all do, engaging with the staff, which is we know it's different now. It seems a little less like some of the young professionals looking at the YMCA as a real career.
I see.
They're like in every industry, they're there for a year or two,
As opposed to what? As opposed to like a calling, you mean? Or
yeah, it's if you look at Ainsley's here from our marketing department.
Yes.
She's the different in that way. She has been here from working in babysitting, is now our assistant marketing director and been here for 10 years. But if you look at all of our long-term folks, they're a little bit more seasoned professionals. Some of the other ones have been jumping around a little bit. So that's a real challenge that Trevor and I talk about all the time. There's always different challenges that is an opportunity to engage more people, and we've been very fortunate. Mary Orn's been the head of our fundraising. She's done a great job developing relationships on the South Shore and helping in these big capital campaigns. So it's just engaging people. The transactional part, people walking in and out and just working out, that's the easy part. The other part is getting them connected to understand what we really do.
Yeah.
Everybody walks in that building has a story. And how do you get to that story? How do you support? There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that people don't know that we do that we can support them.
Is there a story that kind of sticks out in your mind over the past 16 years, Paul, that you say, hey, that's really what we're all about here, and that's kind of a full circle moment?
You know, it's we have these mission moments
Yes.
at all of our meetings, and Jen Christensen, a new development person, was sharing one at our board meeting last week, and hopefully I'll get all the story right.
Okay.
But she had met this young teenage girl and over at Germantown, and just kind of struggling to find her place, and find out that her grandmother's taking care of her, and her parents, I think, were incarcerated,
Okay.
and so she really, and she's new to the Y.
Yep.
She came from the and she was like, oh, we have to step right in, and she called her grandmother and said, you know everything that we do, we can get your granddaughter into camping, we can get her into all these after-school programs, we can help to make sure you have food, we have a food pantry, and that's fairly specific, but it's so what we do every day in the
A
background.
million of those stories?
Our medical wellness programs that our biggest one is our Stay Strong program for anyone that is going through cancer, right now treatment, or just gone through that. We provide free membership for the year, plus their family, plus their caregivers, and if they have children, we'll give them free camping to create this normalcy around it. And we had one woman that is on the pictures of our Stay Strong program, and she had a young family, and she really spoke and helped build the program, and she passed away, I think 2 years ago, and her parents came up, they live in Georgia, and they knew the impact, and they donated $250,000 to name this beautiful group exercise room that works with the Stay Strong program, and they come up every year. We're going to have lunch with them next week, and it's that engagement is the impact that you have
That's what
on
you just
folks.
talked about.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, speaking of fundraising, the Paul Gorman Visionary Fund. Yes.
So that's not my idea. That I think that
They
was
just put your name on it.
Mary's idea, and it's just it's a new twist for Mary to fundraise, a fund for the Y,
Okay.
and that during my time here, that there's always been things that I've seen to do, and instead of waiting, kind of jump in with both feet. Sometimes figure it out on the way down, but and this is to kind of feed that a little bit, and some other
Okay.
new ventures coming up for the Y.
I suspect that, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but you are a world-class elite runner.
Yeah.
So talk about being a doer.
Yeah, so that,
Yeah.
and when you look at any job, that persistence, and in certainly endurance running, I was running 20 miles a day,
Wow.
7 days a week
Wow.
for 8 years,
Is that right?
and ran for New Balance. I was on the U.S. track and field team, raced around Europe and around this country. That it's every single day you set small goals to larger goals in the month, and then big goals to national championships. It's the same thing at work. Daily goals,
Yes.
weekly, monthly, and then with a vision at the end
Yes.
of where you want to be.
So you bring that mindset.
Yeah, and just put your head down. Sometimes you just have to put your head down and
Charge
go
through the
charge
headwinds.
through, yeah.
Speaking of, what's next for Paul Gorman after retirement?
So a little bit of golf.
Okay.
I'm on a board here, People Ventures, that is the umbrella for Quarry and Woodbine. We all know Quarry here in the city, and People Ventures also does some work in Rhode Island and New York. I'm on a committee to raise funds for a not-for-profit newspaper up in my hometown, and taking care of 2 new grandchildren, a boy and a girl.
Congratulations.
So
Nice.
just about a month old, and so now it's just
That's a
lot of
full-time
feeding.
job.
Boy, you need a team for that. Yeah.
Excellent. So will you be back to Quincy?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I'd like to be here. We should be opening the new expansion here, gymnastics, big group exercise, teen center here in January. So come back for that.
Big retirement party for you coming up next month in December up at Granite Links.
Yeah,
It'll be a lot of fun as well.
It should be. We usually have a winter social every year. And the past couple of years we had it at the Y around our toy drive and everything. So we've kind of shifted it up there. And so, people listen to a few people lie about me, how good I was over the years. So.
You're being way too modest. And also check you out in the latest edition of South Shore Magazine. Yeah. I saw it.
They were able to Photoshop that picture pretty well.
Paul, it's been a true pleasure to get to know you and speak to you over the years.
Almost every year that come in to talk, and really appreciate that reach out every year. It's really helped. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and continued success in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just enough time to take a look at the forecast for you for the rest of the day. Today, keep the umbrella handy. We've got off and on showers throughout the day with temperatures in the low 50s. Look at tonight. Yep. We're down to freezing. Could be the first freeze of the year, actually, right here along the coast. Tomorrow, it'll be windy, but it'll be chilly with a high only 40 degrees. And a little bit warmer on Wednesday and a bit warmer still on Thursday, but very November feel to the air for this week as well. Thanks again to Paul Gorman for joining us from the South Shore Y.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday here on the program, Rick Doan stops by from Interfaith Social Services of Quincy. Meantime, check our website anytime, QATV.org. You'll find all of our latest programs along with news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.